Your self-talk rewires your brain and your body, and this isn't just a cute Pinterest quote or motivational cliche. This is something that both neuroscience and scripture have been pointing to for years, even though they use different language to describe the same truth. What you say to yourself becomes information. It becomes instruction, and it becomes input that your mind, your nervous system, and your entire physiology respond to. And the deeper I study this, the more undeniable it becomes that God designed our biology and our spirituality to work together, not separately. One of the most fascinating fields that proves this is called psychoneural immunology. It sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. Basically, it's the study of how your thoughts and your emotions affect your immune system, your hormones, and your healing processes. Scientists discovered that every repeated thought, whether it's comforting or destructive, becomes biochemical reality. That means your brain sends signals through your nervous system, and those signals will tell your body how to respond. Think of it like this. Your internal language is a set of electrical commands. Whatever you repeat becomes the program that your body runs. So when your self-talk sounds like, I feel terrible, I'm sick, I'm falling apart, or oh, my back is killing me, your brain doesn't say, oh, this is just a negative thought. Instead, it treats it as danger, as something that's threatening. Your stress hormones will increase, your cortisol will rise, and then your inflammation just grows. Your immune system starts to then shift from healing to survival, and your body starts to prepare for a threat, even if the threat is just your own repeated inner narrative. But when your language shifts, even gently, your brain then shifts with it. And so when you start saying things like, I'm healing, or my body is feeling better, or I'm recovering, you then start to activate those neural pathways that are associated with safety, restoration, and regeneration. And your brain will release neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, all of that which supports your motivation, your resilience, and your physical healing. This isn't delusion, and this isn't pretending that life is now perfect. It's just using the system that God built. Your words shape your internal world, which then shape your external experience. Something that people can misunderstand, this isn't positive thinking. This isn't manifestation. This is all design. Way before psychology gave this a name, these processes, the scripture that taught life and death, are all in the power of the tongue, and that we are transformed by renewing our minds, and that our thoughts produce the fruit of our lives. The Bible wasn't being metaphorical, it was describing a literal mechanism that's woven into creation. Your mind, your body, and your spirit were all built to operate in agreement. So when you change the way that you speak to yourself, you're not lying to yourself. Even if it feels unfamiliar or uncomfortable or just slightly delusional at first, this is the kind of delusion that's going to lead to healing, not harm. And what you're doing is you're just aligning your internal system with truth, not fear. And you're choosing thoughts and words that will then support your healing instead of reinforcing the damaging ones. You're choosing cooperation instead of self-sabotage, and your brain will start to listen, your body will start to listen, and God will then respond to the agreement between your beliefs and your words. Faith is not just a spiritual concept. It's also a psychological amplifier. When you speak in alignment with what God says and then you start to believe it, your brain will then start to rewire itself to support that direction. But this doesn't only affect healing. It also affects your skills, your confidence, and your abilities, and every area where you believe that you can't do something. And here's where it gets really cool. Your brain doesn't know the difference between real limitations and repeated belief. And so if you say, man, I'll never be good at that, I don't think I could learn this, or I'm so bad at this, your brain will treat those statements like instructions. It literally begins to weaken the neural connections that's responsible for that task. Your motivation drops, your dopamine decreases, and your sense of confidence just then shrinks. Your fear response increases, and then you avoid the very thing that you want to grow in, and that belief becomes physical reality. This isn't some kind of spiritual fluff. This is neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to change and reorganize and build new pathways based on repeated experiences and repeated thoughts. Neuroplasticity is the biological explanation for why scripture teaches us to renew our mind. Renewal happens through repetition, and your brain strengthens what you rehearse. It prunes what you ignore. And so if you're constantly repeating, I can't, your brain will close the door before you ever try and take that step. Because when you shift the language, even if you don't feel confident yet, you will still open that door for growth. So if you start saying, I'm learning this, or this is new to me, but I can get better, that's going to activate the pathways required for motivation and skill building. This doesn't mean that you all of a sudden can just become excellent at something overnight. This isn't speak it and it appears. You still have to put in the effort, and you still have to practice and build consistency. But the difference now is that your brain is working with you instead of against you. And that really matters, because the brain is the gatekeeper for every habit, every skill, every emotional pattern, and every healing process. This is why scripture tells us to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. Transformation isn't instant, but it is repetitive, and it's biological. God designed your mind to shape your behaviors, your health, and even your spiritual direction. When your thoughts change, your brain changes. And when your brain changes, your habits change. And when your habits change, your life then changes. So yes, even something simple like I can never be good at that becomes a self-fulfilling reality. I've said this a lot on my TikTok, but it's not because the universe responded, but it's because your brain did. And that's the beautiful thing, is that the opposite is also very true. When you speak life, your brain builds life. When you speak healing, your brain supports healing. If you speak possibility, your brain regenerates the pathways that are required to pursue possibility. This is the partnership of science and scripture, and this is the harmony between biology and faith. When you understand it, you start to unlock one of the most powerful tools that God gave you, and that's the ability to reshape your mind and just strengthen your body and align your life with who you were created to be. And it all starts with the words that you speak to yourself. So if this message opened your eyes about the power of your words, drop a comment. Tell me one thing that you want to start speaking differently, and just make sure to subscribe. We're going in way, way deeper in a lot of my upcoming videos. I hope to see you guys for some more.